Everybody's wondering, you probably, if you open the Google, if you Google the news, you see that China is continuing, all the hospitals completely overrun. Funny enough, our hospital is completely overrun. I had a patient of mine with a really bad emergency waiting in a GW room, waiting room, not inside for 12 hours and then leaving because they wouldn't be able to see him. And that was a real emergency. So the hospitals it's starting to get filled up again. So indeed, lots of different upper respiratory, as we say, quadruple, right? So RSV, flu, common cold, and of course, COVID. So that's what's happening. And it doesn't seem like our healthcare system has good answers to this. Unfortunately, we are really, it's kind of interesting. We just had a meeting with DC Medicaid this past Wednesday, trying to push some of our projects forward. And we know that they're struggling dramatically. Every single DC emergency room is completely overrun. And it's a real crisis. It's a real crisis if the patient has to leave one emergency room to try to go to another one to be seen after 12 hours of waiting room time. And this is an 85 really frail person. It's very, very bad situation. So what does it mean for everybody? Well, one thing is kind of concerning now is that it's really difficult to figure out what's what. All of these conditions overlap. I will be presenting to you in just a minute statistics on some of the chronic fatigue syndrome after COVID and how pretty bad the situation is. And so it's possible that a lot of the times the actual COVID will present only with fatigue. Fatigue and maybe a little bit of upper respiratory symptoms. And unless you do the testing, you won't know. So again, stock up. I think those of you who haven't got the 4 free kits from the from the US government, please do so. They're still available. And those are the easy to start with. You can also, we talked about this before, I just want to reiterate, you can purchase the triple tests. So there are now FDA approved triple tests that just at the same time flu, COVID, and RSV all together. Now, they are not cheap. I think each test runs about $20. So, if you need to do this on some frequency, it's going to be quite costly. And unfortunately, insurances don't pay for it, at least until you show up if you go to the emergency room, your insurance will cover it. But again, you probably don't want to do that, especially right now, right? All emergency room filled with the cases of acute respiratory problems. So there's a very, very high chance you're going to get exposed to something. So I would say, unless you have to, don't go there. Okay, so there are standalone RSV tests you can buy. You can buy them in any pharmacy. Again, their prices, all of these tests cost about the same. They go from somewhere between maybe $10 to $20 at each test. Sometimes you can buy them in packs. So, when you buy more tests at the same time, per unit cost will go down. So do pay attention to that. All right, let me show you 2 of the things I was going to show you today. First is back in 2021, government started something called Recovery Adult Trial, which is basically tracking all of the data on the COVID infections in US. And now we're starting to see some data coming out of this. So this is a first interesting study that I'm going to show you based on this assessment or observational study. And that's a post-COVID chronic fatigue and myalgic encephalomyelitis, which is basically myalgic encephalitis means you have some brain fog, you have some chronic fatigue. Sometimes it just gets compiled into this term ME/CFS like this. Put that up there. So this often gets kind of compiled together as one entity. It's thought to be a direct impact of the virus on the central nervous system. The numbers are pretty scary. It's about 3 times increase over the typical chronic fatigue onset. It's not clear from this assessment whether in the early phases of pandemic, we had a higher spike of the CFS post-COVID. And of course, this is what we now called long COVID, but this clarifies exact numbers. And, you know, a threefold increase, what does it mean? Well, you know, if you have a third of population going through this at this numbers, we're going to expect tens of millions of people suffering with this. They have not looked into this population long-term simply because there is no long-term, right? It's only a couple of years between 1 to 3 year follow-up. But there is an expectation that a lot of these patients are not going to get better, at least with the current model of care, which is none, right? So this is not a treatable condition by a standard of care. They don't have anything to offer. There has been this attempt at doing aggressive physical rehabilitation for this. Unfortunately, it failed miserably. In fact, it's actually made a lot of people worse. So part of the critique of this trial has been that some of these interventions of trying to do physical therapy for patients was created wrong, right? So some of these patients after physical therapy will get a lot worse because it's not a typical problem, and the regular physical therapy should not be applied. So that's one big update. And the second update, I want to put a plug for my most recent YouTube video. You may not have seen it. Well, you wouldn't be able to see it because it was just posted a couple hours ago. And I decided to make this video based on a couple important points. So this question comes up in a real practice all the time. When someone comes to a physician with a new diagnosis of dementia, what should this patient be expecting in terms of longevity, right? So let's take a 65-year-old woman who presents with an early onset dementia versus let's take an 85-year-old man who's presenting with an early onset of dementia. And the statistics, until recent, we had some old data about 10 years ago, and that was known to be pretty accurate for that time. So I welcome this study that I'm reviewing in my video because this is most up to date. So this is what's going on in the last couple of years, despite all of the treatment. So this is really important point, right? So there's been a lot of new developments in Alzheimer's. However, so if you're an 85-year-old man presenting with a new diagnosis of dementia, your life expectancy is only 2 years. And this is with brand new diagnosis of mild Alzheimer's. And this is just highlights importance of the fact that people often say, dementia, you know, I'm going to live a long time. No, not really. Turns out that the dementias generally, longevity of patients with dementia have not improved at all. In fact, it worsened over the last couple of years. And you've probably seen in the news, right, that there's an expectation of 50 million Americans by 2060 living with dementia due to the rapid increase in total numbers due to aging population, as well as people living longer with dementia. So that's actually not true. People are not living longer with dementia. That's basically what the study is showing, in contrast to what you hear from everybody. That's just not the case. Another critical aspect of this video, why I decided to post it, is that we know now with our protocol, we're dramatically improving these numbers. Our memory protocol, we now have patients living way over 20 years, not progressing at all. We've now seen people reverse dementia. As those of you who've been following our work know that we just submitted the first study to a peer-reviewed journal discussing this work. And so the metabolic protocols for dementia, definitely the only thing that currently has significant capacity to extend life. You know, the drugs and other approaches don't seem to work. It would be really interesting to see what brand new medications are going to offer. Those anti-plaque entangles medication, the particular, I'm speaking of Leqembi, but there are new ones that are coming on the market. There are some expectations that this will indeed prolong life, but it's not very, very clear just yet, simply because this medication has only been on the market for a year or two. So it's yet to be determined. And one of the problems with any Alzheimer's research is it's very slow, right? You have to track people for many, many, many years. Our program, we have now tracked some people for 10 years, but a lot of people are tracked for between 4 to 5 years. But it's still enough. You know, if I see that the patient comes to me with life expectancy of 2 years and 4 years, 5 years later, they're doing just as well as when they came in, I can be assured that we're doing well with this patient, right? So that's all I have for today. So in the next couple of minutes, let's turn to questions. So that I know you guys probably have a lot of questions about all this. I think I already answered RSV. So yeah, you can find that kit for just RSV in any pharmacy. Yeah, I think the ERs are everywhere overloaded. I'm presuming it's due to the mostly upper respiratory infection. Sheila, do you want to unmute? Is that easier?
Yes, I have two questions. One,
Mm-hmm.
can we talk more about prevention? I think earlier in the pandemic, there was a protocol and all of this kind of stuff, which I've been doing, but there's not repetition of it so we can do some things on our own to kind of stay at that high place to maybe avoid some.
So how about we do it next week? Because I don't want to cut that short. We've tried to do this quite regularly, but I think it's a good idea to repeat, especially now that we're in sort of this quadruple, whatever this is, right?
Yeah, thinking if
Yeah,
you
yeah,
you
sure.
kind of build your body up some kind of way, maybe you get all this stuff. Another
I
thing,
don't actually, there's interestingly no updates to this. So I think whatever you've been doing, which is the supplements, better sleep, masking correctly and getting, regular vaccines, I think all these things combined are still the main approach. Vaccines, in my mind, getting more and more complicated topic for two main reasons. The one is those who've been vaccinated with the primary doses versus those who are getting boosters. Believe it or not, the data is clear that the additional boosters is still helpful. The problem is, though, we're seeing a pretty dramatic uptick in autoimmune diseases. And so there is this sort of now a key question: should we be more and more strategizing who should be getting vaccines more often? Should we be still just doing everybody once a year? Should we be scaling it down? The government, of course, wants everybody to get annual vaccines or maybe even twice a year. We talked about that. That should not be taken with a very light approach. So, yeah.
well, I
What's
think
your second question?
prevention should be like a mantra, so people will still remember that we're still in this. You don't see masks
Yep.
anymore, rarely. I see more now because of the flu maybe thing or whatever. But and another thing I want to ask, when you when you talk about dementia, you
Mm-hmm.
now when somebody has it for 2 years or whatever, is there a person you can go to get a test to see that if something's coming?
Yes,
Or
that's a great question. So there are a couple of different ways you can get tested. If you're over 65, your primary care doctor should be testing you once a year. It's a standard approach. Sometimes testing done very quickly. Sometimes the doctor could simply ask you, believe it or not, a simple question to have a memory problem is pretty decent, shockingly. Like literally, if you just have your doctor ask you, what do you think of your memory? And you say it's not good, that question has a significant importance. So that question should trigger a workup. Now, I expect two things dramatically change. One, some of this test, particularly this BOCA test, which is, for full disclosure, I am involved in this I'm a medical advisor for this company, but I'm also been involved in some of their research. So you could just take the BOCA test. I put the more description of the test in the chat right now. But you could also start arguably ask providers, and this is going to be a little tricky. If you're my patient, I will do this for you in a flash. But if you have somebody else, there are these new blood tests, which are dramatically more accurate than any other screening, right? So the p-tau 217 and ATN combined, their predictive capacity to diagnose early dementia is now over 95%. There is no more accurate test. In fact, I am going forward. If the patient tells me I have a memory problem, I'm not going to ask other questions. I may not even ask them to do the test in an office or at home. Why? The people can, especially people who are highly intellectual, somebody who's been for 30 years in academia or something, they may actually overperform the test and they may have a false negative result. The blood tests don't have that. The blood tests are not going to lie. In fact, as an example, just a couple of 2 weeks ago, I diagnosed someone who came in and she was like, I'm coming to you for other things, but by the way, I'm noticing something is off. Like I'm 81 and my memory is not great. Everybody tells me I'm fine. My primary care doctor says, oh no, this is fine. I said, I don't know you. But what I do know, I don't have time right now to sit here and do all the comprehensive cognitive tests. Let's run the blood test. So I run the blood test, is dramatically positive. So she has an early Alzheimer's, and it would have been completely missed for another couple of years. And notice what I just mentioned to you. The mortality of this woman, if she would have kept on waiting, would have dramatically went up. In fact, chances are she probably would have, at 82, when she is at a woman predictive longevity with an Alzheimer's at the moment of diagnosis is about 4 years. Imagine she would have missed that. So now it would have been only 2 years at 84, let's say. So me diagnosing her now will probably going to extend her life at least by 4 or 5 years, if not longer. So there is now a pretty dramatic push for this. So do not hesitate to ask your doctors for these tests. They're not expensive. They're covered by every insurance. It takes a second to add them into the system. Unfortunately, they're not quite uniform yet. A lot of the primary care doctors don't know about this. They're probably going to simply think, oh, yeah, this is a new thing. I'm going to wait for better times. There is no need to wait. The quality of this test is very, very high. If anybody is interested, I will review that very soon. I believe I already talked about p-tau on my YouTube channel. Actually, I'm sure I did. When I think when we start with our Tai Chi practice, and I'll put the link in there. I don't want to take my time right now because I know there's more questions. So Sheila, is that okay?
That's fine.
That help?
I'll talk to you next session when we talk about prevention, because I some dementia prevention. You know, there must be something we could do to keep from getting to the stage.
There is a lot you can do, and
yeah.
that's please watch that video I just posted. It has links to all of our programs for prevention, lists a lot of things. In my opinion, and actually it's not my opinion, it's the opinion of a European Union. In 2017, there was a really important paper in the Lancet. Lancet is a very big medical journal in Europe, probably one of the more important ones. Basically saying that 30 to 50% of all Alzheimer's is completely preventable, just with the lifestyle alone. So I actually think that that number is a lot higher. You just need to individualize approach to each patient rather than just give everybody the same diet and same exercise. So
Thank
this
you.
the two tests.
So I have a quick question. For the last couple of weeks, I have been experiencing a lot of sneezing and coughing and headaches and runny nose. And I thought it was just a cold, and I tried to deal with it myself. But at the end of the 2 weeks, I kind of thought that maybe I was experiencing some RSV stuff.
No, if you have a nose, it's definitely not RSV.
Okay, it's not RSV.
No.
Okay.
When you have a sneezing, RSV will never present with sneezing. RSV only presents with upper respiratory symptoms, with a cough, with a breathing problem. Sneezing is good. Sneezing invariably typically means it's nothing. It's just an upper respiratory infection, just a common cold virus.
Okay.
Now, I guess the COVID can present with sneezing, but you're probably going to have other symptoms. So
yeah.
you should be tested. That's another reason why I think it's important to stock up on some tests. And if there's any question, you can test. Now, problem, Lynette, is if it's been going on now for a couple of weeks, I don't know what the efficacy of the test is going to be. It's kind of
well, it's resolving itself now, and it appears that
there's nothing you can do at this point. Don't test. Don't waste your kit.
Yeah.
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 So
Okay.
yes, this test specifically tests for Alzheimer's disease. They don't test for other dementias, but other dementias are very uncommon. About 70 to 80% of all dementias are Alzheimer's. There's something called vascular dementia, but you don't need to be worried about this because that is much more of a clinical diagnosis. It doesn't randomly appear. It has to be present in the setting of other vascular conditions like strokes, chronic severe hypertension, diabetes, other things. Okay. Let's see what there are other questions. So there's a question about my dentist recommendation. No, that is total nonsense. There's no such thing. Betonide nasal spray is going to do absolutely nothing to prevent COVID. I don't know where this comes from. This sounds like completely wrong propaganda. Now, there has been an attempt to do a silver spray for COVID prevention, and that probably has a bit more validity. And of course, there are more specialized COVID nasal sprays, which are more, but betadine will not do that. No, betadine will work for a minute or two. And then you're not gonna be able to sit there and spray every 5 minutes. It's just completely impractical. Okay, let's do one last question. And I see that Ed is here. Hi, Ed. So great to see you. And I don't want to cut his time because you guys, as always, for a treat. I don't actually see any other questions. What is the extended life respective quality of life? Very good. So the patients who early start this protocol, they have completely normal lifestyle. If they get on it, on the dementia prevention protocol early enough. Now, if you're presenting with very advanced Alzheimer's, things are completely different. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the disease in relatively early phases. All right, so I'm going to remove my spotlight. All right, great. All right, Ed, I think you're up. Don't forget to unmute yourself.
Good afternoon, everyone. Happy New Year. How is everyone doing? Can you all hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. Just want to make sure. It's beautiful outside, actually. I was gonna be outside, but I was like, nah, I'll stick with the warmth. But everything's happening. It's surprisingly warm, but it's warmer indoors. But let's get started. The question was about mindfulness, correct? Yes? No? What is mindfulness? Everyone has there's quite a plethora of description of what mindfulness is, but mine is simple. Is awareness. Being aware. So, what are we aware of? Right, there's a lot going on that gets us anxious and nervous. So the first thing with mindfulness practice is breathing. So let's start with that, guys. Okay, your breath. We don't pay attention to it. It's very important though. So the good way of breathing is pressing your tongue on the roof of your mouth, as if you want to say la. Relax your jaw and breathe in and out through your nostrils. Inhale and exhale. But the key thing is soften your breath so you don't want to hear yourself breathe. So when you inhale, you don't want to, and exhale, you don't want to do that. Just soft breathing exercises. Just pay attention to the breath, your breath. As you inhale, can you feel the breath enter your nose, go down your nostrils, and through to your lungs? But in the case of Tai Chi, though, when you breathe, you imagine the air goes right down to your belly button. It's weird, okay? So let's do that for a couple of minutes and let's see how you feel. Okay, inhale and exhale. Just breathe normally. Relax your eyes, feel your lungs expand as you inhale and feel them relax as you exhale. And just by your belly button area, imagine the air that you breathe in is filling a small teacup right there by your belly button area. It's 3 fingers deep, right in the middle of your body. So when you breathe in, breathe into that point. It's called the dantian. And that's where we move from. I'll expound on that later. As you exhale, release and relax the body. Since we're all sitting, when you exhale, imagine the energy, the breath exiting out your feet into the ground, okay? As you inhale, Imagine your bones floating skyward. As you exhale, the muscles and everything sinks earthward. So this is a subtle way of opening up the body. Relax your shoulders. Tuck the chin in just a little bit. Sink the chest. That opens up the spine. This allows you to sit up. Make sure you're sitting up, okay? We really don't want to lean back. Not in this practice. You want to sit up and tuck the chin in. And relax down. So let's move our arms. Let's hold our arms out as we sit. Right? And just hang your arms. And can you feel the heaviness of your arms sink into your fingertips? Can you guys feel that at all? Are you guys with me? Yes? No?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
The little guided practice, guys.
Yes.
Right? So the focus is more on feeling, right? I can tell you what a chicken sandwich is, but the experience is actually taking a bite and tasting it, right? Just a little guided practice. I can show you more than I can tell you, sort of thing. So can you feel the weight? So this is subtly pulling your joints open without forcing anything. Right? So inhale and breathe in through your joints. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. If you feel any tension in your shoulders, just let it go. We're letting it go. We're letting it go. Inhale. Exhale. And you'll start feeling a tingling sensation on your fingertips. Can you feel that, guys?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. Hold on to that feeling. Can you lift your hands and still maintain the feeling in your fingertips? You have to move slowly and extend your hands out to maintain that feeling. Relax the shoulders. And then slowly bring your hands back down. And hang the hands. So now, inhale, move the hands. The inhale feels the hands up. Exhale, release down. So similar to what I said, so the inhale, the bones move up. The exhale, the flesh sinks down. Inhale. Exhale, release down. Inhale. Exhale. And just relax your hands down for me. Shake loose. How are we doing? How are you feeling? Did you feel something?
Stretched.
Feel a little bit more.
Yeah, I feel something.
Stretched.
It's not the physical aspect, it's not the stretch, and yes, we can stretch. It's what's happening inside the limbs, inside the joints. Yes, you're stretching, but think more of opening up your joints.
Yeah.
Okay? So if you hold your hands as if you're holding a ball here, all right? How do you push your joints open? Well, let's do this. Let's take a step back. Let's do it this way. Since we mentioned stretch, there we go. Stretch out as far as you can. Push out, stretch, stretch the spine, stretch, and relax. One more time. Stretch out, stretch, 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 and relax. Now stretch out again. Stretch, pull in, pull, 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 and relax. So we're going through two extremes. The stretching out is the point of tension. And now we pull, because now we're tense, pulling in, and relax. Stretch out, stretch, reach out, stretch, and then pull in, pull, and relax. Relax the arms. Now hold your arms up, right? Don't stretch, lengthen your arms. Lengthen your arms, push your arms open, but don't lock your joints. Now pull your arms back, don't lock your joints. So minimal movement in your arms, just a couple of inches out, push, open, lengthen your arms out. Lengthen your arms back. Lengthen out. Lengthen back. And rest your arms. You should feel some sort of movement in your limbs, especially in your fingertips. When you lengthen without stretching, if you just lengthen, you are pushing your joints open, and you feel some sort of thing shooting out your fingers. And when you pull back in, you're lengthening towards your spine and down into your chair, you feel some sort of thing recede back into the body. So let's give it a shot one more time, right? So we here, hold your arms here, lengthen the spine, lengthen your arms out. So you're pushing the joints out as if you're pushing out. And softly pull back in, lengthen backwards. Lengthen out. And lengthen backwards. And relax your arms. Did you feel movement inside?
Yes.
Yeah, I felt a movement inside of my chest. That movement helped open up my chest area. The moving
Awesome.
out and the moving back. It sort of like massaged my whole chest area.
That's just the beginning, it's more. So now we move forward and back. Now let's put that in a circle. Ready?
Okay.
Key point, do not have your elbow come behind your body, okay? So keep your elbow as far as your side. So we imagine there's a wheel right here, and you just like what Cinderella used, a big spindle. So that was before my time. Anyway, so it's here. We want to move our hands in a circle. Okay, we'll just do a medium circle this towards your waist, up and around. I'll face you. When your hands are coming back, flare your elbows out. And they come in. So when they're coming back, instead of bringing your elbows back this way, you push your elbows out. So your hands will be right in front of your side channels. Okay? Let's give it a go. So let's relax the shoulders. Relax the spine. Let's sit up. Take a deep breath. Inhale. Exhale. Breathe into your joints. Exhale. So here we go. Let's hold our arms chest level. Right? And let's do, this is called vertical circling hands. So on the inhale, your hands coming in. And the exhale, they go out. Inhale. Curve the spine and lift the spine to move your arms. So we're lengthening the body. We're not stretching. Don't stretch. Lengthen. Keep the joints curved. And we're opening. Hold your hands parallel as if you're holding an invisible ball. Size of a basketball, volleyball, soccer ball. That works. It's there. Inhale. Bring in. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Feel what you're doing. Don't think about it. Just do it and feel the sensations that are happening inside your body. Relax your shoulders, especially when you lift your arms up. On the exhale, just release. Bring in. And release. And rest your arms on your lap, palms up. Take a deep breath and relax. Are your palms tingling?
A little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Can you feel that? We are moving energy, guys.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We are moving energy.
The hands are feeling full.
Awesome. Awesome. Let's rest the arms a little bit. Keep your arms where they are. With your legs, right? Legs, feet parallel. Make sure your feet are parallel. We tilt this down a little bit. Feet are parallel on the chair there, right? So the same feeling we had in our arms, let's see if we can create that same feeling in our legs. So we relax, right? Breathe into the hip joints. Open the hip joints. So how do you open up your hip joints? Watch, sit up. Drop your tailbone down and just sit up, and that opens it up. Interesting, right? Let's test it. Slump, slouch. That kind of closes the joint a little bit. But if you sit up and drop the tailbone, your coccyx pointing down into the ground, that opens up your hips. Right? Obviously, the knees are already open because they're bent. Right? Create space between the tibia and your foot. In the ankle, right in the middle of the ankle, imagine there's a little space and you just open that up. And your feet sink into the floor and grow roots. About 3 feet in diameter around you. Imagine that. Energetically, that happens too. Right? So now breathe into your dantian through your legs. So on the inhale, your energy is breathing, you're breathing in through your toes, your feet, up your legs, into your dantian. And when you exhale out your legs. All right? Here we go. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, here's what I want you to do. I want you to stretch your legs, push the ground away softly without moving the chair. So press down into the ground. Notice your body moves up. Yes? Can you feel that?
Yes.
Relax your legs, the body sinks back down. Press the floor down, the body lifts. Relax your legs, the body sinks down. So what's the opposite of press? Pull, correct?
If you say so.
I'm going somewhere with this, okay? So if you press down and the body moves up and you relax, that's a pull, by the way. So if you're sitting and you imagine your feet are stuck to the floor and you pull your feet up, the body folds down. Can you feel that?
Yes.
Now press, that allows you to sit up. Lift the floor, your feet are stuck to the floor, that pulls the body down. Press, that lifts the body up. And relax. Just relax for a second. Let me make this point. If I press my legs into the ground, that is how we stand.
And I was thinking the same thing. That's how we stand.
Yep. And if you pull your legs up without jumping, that's how we sit.
Yeah.
To confuse people, tell them to pull their legs up to their chest without jumping, and they can't do it. We all can. That's how we sit. So if I'm standing up, I make this adjustment slightly. If I'm standing and I pull my legs up to my chest, that's me folding and I'm sitting. We do this all the time. Quick point in sitting. Let me address this real quick, guys. This is very important where we stand and sit, especially. Always lean forward first, fold first. That brings your shoulders above your knee. Even if you have to use your arms to get up, this is the correct way to stand. And you do the opposite to sit. We don't want to do what I call a hope and pray. This is a hope and pray, which is dangerous. You gotta be careful. Is going halfway and free falling into the chair. Sometimes we all do this. We hope the chair holds us and we pray it doesn't break. We don't want to sit down that way. So if you pull your leg to your chest, slowly you're balanced and you're stable. You don't have to flop. And I recommend you do this particular exercise every day. At least do 5 reps or 10. It strengthens your legs, which helps with balance. Very important. The older we get, we start having balance issues. This is very important. I'm a strong advocate for this particular exercise. So it's not lunching to stand up, throwing the head, catapults in the head to get up, which is what some of us do. But with the proper alignment with your legs, not too wide, because people will have their legs this way and they do all these kind of things to get up. You're not aligned properly. Or the other one that makes me cringe is the knees collapse and they try and get up. And we wonder how we have all these knee issues. Well, if the bones are aligned properly, right? All we have to do is lean forward. We can even use our arms, our hands, I should say, and press your hands on your knees to help you get up. And you go back down. Key points, your buttocks, the tush. This is a big mover muscle here. So when you lean forward, it's a line, you push the ground down to stand. And when you sit, you just fold, push your butt back, which allows you to slowly sit. So even if your legs are not strong, as long as you have the alignment, you can always put your hand on the chair, lean forward, and it's easier to stand back up. And then you fold and grab the chair and sit. I guarantee you, you practice that every day, do that 5 times. Your legs get stronger. You start moving. So the slow movement stretches the muscles, gives you mobility in your ankles, which we just did partially, and that helps with balance. So back to the leg thing real quick. Does that make sense?
How many times did you say we should do it?
5 times or as much as you can without totally exhausting yourself.
Well, I was thinking that since that's what we do anyway when we sit and get up, we could just practice it every time we sit down or get up.
You're not practicing because your mind's someplace else. So if you take time in your day, just like a workout period, and you focus on doing that, you're actually doing squats. Let's call it that.
Okay, okay.
Right? You do these drills to improve the body. Like you've all played sports. So there's certain drills you do to enhance your play.
Yeah, yeah.
And when you're playing, you don't necessarily do those particular drills, but the training helps. Right?
There's
So
a benefit of continuous repetition.
correct.
Not
So
once and walk away, once and walk away. It's once, twice, 3, 4. Rest. 1,
right.
2, 3.
So if you make it a workout routine, you'll notice your legs get stronger, which helps with balance and mobility. The slow movements does a soft stretch. So not everything has to be aggressive and rah, rah. No. That ship has sailed. We're just trying to maintain and be able to keep up, right? So in doing that, back to the breathing with the legs. Now, when you inhale, right? Imagine the legs coming in without moving. So you're lengthening the legs in to your dantian. And then when you exhale, you're pushing out. You start feeling subtle movements in your legs, even though you're sitting. And sitting down doing this exercise allows you to feel more. Because you still do this type of practice standing, but standing on your legs creates tension in the body. It takes real focus, but you'll get there eventually. So what you feel sitting, you just try and recreate standing, okay? But let's get back to this. So let's relax down. Take a deep breath. Breathe in through your legs, your feet. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Now let's put everything together, the circling hands. The vertical circling hands, that is. So we were here, right? So when you're pulling in, imagine your legs are pulling into, and then when you're coming out, your legs are pushing out like you're standing. And when you're pulling in, you're sitting. So the whole body moves in unison. Can you feel that? So now breathe in to your dantian, to your fingertips and your toes into your center and the crown of your head. So everything comes into your center this way. And then when you exhale, everything moves out to your fingertips, out your toes, and out the crown of your head, right? It's just an energetic Qigong practice. And you start to feel movement inside the body, right? Brings your awareness into your structure. Breathe in, everything comes into the center of the dantian. And as you breathe out, everything pushes out. Inhale. Exhale. Get your spine involved. When your arms are curving in and your legs are curving in, curve the spine in. And as you exhale, lengthen everything together. Inhale, curves everything in, pulls everything in. Exhale, pushes everything out. Inhale. Exhale. Relax your shoulders for me. Inhale. Exhale. On the exhale, extend your fingers a little bit, not too much. On the inhale, cup your hands and your feet. As you exhale, just lengthen the fingers and the toes. And as long as lengthen, as well as lengthen your limbs. Pull in. Inhale. Exhale. Don't forget to bring the elbows out. As you're pulling in, the body expands. As you exhale, everything pushes out. Inhale. Exhale. Relax your hands, rest your hands on your lap. Did anyone feel some movement there, guys?
Yes, I felt it.
Yes, yes,
No.
Yes. Yes.
absolutely.
So the more you practice that, the better you feel. And then let me stand and demonstrate the whole exercise standing. Actually, looks like this. Looks like this. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. So the key movement is coming from the waist, from the waistline where you're pulling in and you're pushing out. And as you get better with it, you can make small circles this way.
And your feet are at shoulder.
Yes. So your alignment with your feet, parallel, not wider than your hips.
Hips.
Not as wide as your shoulders, but just with alignment.
Hips.
The
Okay.
middle of your feet should be aligned with your inguinal groove. Right here, the hip socket.
Yes.
So it's not a wide stance.
Okay.
And as you get better, As we get better with the movement, then you can make real big circular movements. You can sit low, come up,
Yes.
and do it that way, right? With your breathing. Then also put your hand on your hips, guys, for those who feel comfortable standing. Put your hands on your hips, right there, and feel through your fingers, the texture of your hand, feel your leg, drop the tailbone, and fold, like you're getting ready to sit in the chair. Fold, and come back up.
Oh, yeah.
Fold, and come back up. And then relax your hands when you fold down. If you do it properly, your arms will be aligned, your shoulder will be aligned with your knees.
Wow.
So now, without paying attention, when you bend forward this way. Too much tension in the back. But if you relax your shoulders, right, and I just bend the correct way,
Oh, yeah. Letting
that's
go.
the full alignment. And we did that many moons ago as children. If you watch a child, they just drop and the shoulders right above their knee. Somehow we lost that. But we can get it back.
Can I ask about the breath? Is it coming from the
Yes.
stomach? Lower stomach breath?
So there are many different ways of breathing. I'll say yes, breathe into your stomach.
To start, yes.
The demi is the demi.
Excellent. Wow. We can get the recording of this?
I don't even know. Is everybody still here?
Yes.
Janet is recording it.
Okay.
Yes, we're recording all this. So we're definitely going to be posting this. You can always come back and scroll forward to the moment where Ed starts and then just watch whatever part you need.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. You did
Janet
great.
is still here, so I don't know. I
We're
don't
on
know
the
if she
website.
has-
We're on the website. Will they be posted?
It's under the library of everything. So if you go to the same website where you do registration, there is a link to the past recordings. So I think it's about a week delay. So probably be there sometime next week. Next week, we have Victoria, who's a longtime member faculty of the GW Resiliency and Well-being Center, and also my better half. And